Welcome to Hill Country Hustlers. I'm your host, Zachary Green, and today I have a very special guest, Regina Vanburg. She came here from Bandera to share her story with me, and she's going to talk a little bit about her business and also some exciting news she has coming up. So, Regina, thank you for coming down here. It's an honor to have you. And I'd like to just shortly ask a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm from Bandera, Texas, just down the road.
Awesome. Love a Hill Country native. So you grew up in Bandera?
I did. I moved there when I was 9. So I went to elementary, middle school, high school out there. I love it. I love it. The only time I've been away was for college. And living in the Hill Country is inconvenient, when you are commuting for school, you're commuting for work, but I just can't leave it. I love it. It's home.
Yes. I had a few years away and I thought I would enjoy it more, but really I got homesick quickly.
Yeah.
And I love it here. There's something almost indescribable, but I think it's all the little things.
Agreed. There is nothing quite like the Texas Hill Country. And once she's got you, she's got you. That's it.
That's true.
That's it.
I seem to hear that from other people that move here after they're grown as well. And I love that. I love how people really care about the community and provide something for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's incredibly lucky. I grew up swimming and kayaking on our beautiful green water rivers and cruising our back roads. It's a delight. It's a really unique and special way to come up in the world.
It is. It's awesome. So I want to get into your business. It's called Crane and Bull. That's correct?
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when did that start and what exactly is it?
That's a great question. So it started officially in 2022. It was a weird way to say that date, 22. And it was born out of necessity, really. My business partner and I are both in the mental health field. We both are former VA employees, and we love that work. The population is dear to us. The mission is incredibly important. And it is an organization, it's an entity that isn't always as well resourced as you would want it to be. And what that means really directly is that burnout is common. I might almost say guarantee, especially in my line of work. I'm a trauma psychologist. So that is something that I want to be able to do for the rest of my life. And it was really clear to both me and my business partner that there was going to come a time, if we weren't thoughtful about how we were taking on this work, that it was going to feel too much and we wouldn't be able to continue doing what we love. So we started thinking about, how do we supplement income? How do we figure out ways to still be engaging in this mission, taking really good care of people, veterans in particular, in ways that are more sustainable and more flexible? And that was the beginning. We tried a lot of different endeavors. We were really creative and thought about all the different ways that we could use our degrees. Between the two of us, there's 6 or 7 degrees. It's obnoxious. It's just really wild. But we really tried to be thoughtful about what else is there? How can we do this? And what we landed on is a little bit of everything. So we do therapy. We supervise other mental health providers for licensure purposes. We conduct international trainings for CE credits for people who need those for their licensures. We also hold government contracts. We do data analysis for the United States Air Force. What have I left out? I think that's, at this point, everything that our company does. But we are public servants. That's what we are. That's what we do.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. You've got your hands in a lot of different areas.
We do.
Do you manage employees as well, or is it just you two?
We have not been able to find employees that fit with our model very well yet. We would like to be managing employees, but it's such a strange thing that we do that we're still looking for the right fit. We definitely need the help. We're busy enough. We are growing at a rate that is brilliant and wonderful, but almost unsustainable. We really need the help. So that's our next endeavor, is figuring out how to onboard the right person and what that person is going to bring to the team. Because again, we're a very strange bird. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good thing to be, I think. It's very interesting. And I love the entrepreneurial spirit y'all have. So without having anybody else besides you two, and it sounds like a lot is going on. Is that pretty overwhelming?
It can be. We officially incorporated in 22, but we've been working on it for a while. And it happened in stages. So I think there was a moment, probably right around incorporation, where we were like, oh no, what have we done? What is going to happen? But at this stage, it's just an adventure. It just feels like fun, and it feels like being fully engaged in what we love. But yeah, I won't lie. There was definitely a minute where we were both like, I don't know. I don't know about this.
Wow. Yeah. So it's got to have built up your planning skills quite a bit. You said you released it in phases. Was that planned, or did it just come
No,
as you went?
it wasn't in phases. And in fact, she was doing something a little bit differently than I was doing. And then the VA was our day job. And so we would talk there about the things that we were doing, our side hustles, basically, right? I was seeing patients virtually because at this point, my practice is entirely virtual. So I was already doing some of that, dabbling in that. And we were already both independently thinking about travel is so incredibly important to each of us. How does a business around that look? So there was stuff that we were independently working on that we ended up collaborating and bringing it under the umbrella of our company. And then there are things that we created together. So what the retreat process, the training process looks like, that's something that we built together. The government contract, that's something that we deliberated on and took on together. So it's, both phase and there was an origination date. It's all the things.
Oh, cool. What do you think have been some of the biggest challenges for you and Ashley building this up?
Yeah, let me pause and think about that, because there's definitely been some doozies. I think if I had to put in words what the singular biggest challenge has been, it has been recognizing that this business will be most successful when we do what we love, when we do what we think is important, rather than chasing what we think a client would buy or what we think would look good on the market. We had a terrible first go round with the training program that we were building. We had a lot of different topics that we were trying to pitch. We fully built 3 different events and didn't sell a single ticket, not to any of them. And rather than being frustrated with that, I think it just lit a fire for us and made us really curious about what we need to do to make this work. And what we realized was you have to do what you believe in. That is the thing that translates. That is the thing that people want to participate in. I think the idea of creating something that you think would be easy to pitch or you think would be in high demand is, at least for us, it didn't work at all. And that's quite a vulnerable and brave thing to say, market be damned. What do we care about? And if this sinks or swims, it's going to mean a lot to us because we really care. I would say that was the single biggest hurdle, but the best takeaway. And I think it's in part why it is so fulfilling to do what we do.
Wow, that's a really cool backstory, because that had to be very discouraging, or at least a little disheartening. And I think a lot of people, if not most, would have stopped there, went back to something normal, traditional, and found a comfortable spot, but didn't pursue their dreams, stopped short. And I think you're a testament to grit and determination there, you and Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
That is really cool.
So, and I also think I would say, take the risk. I think neither of us realized how tough it was going to be before we did it. And if we had known, we may have made some different choices, but I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad that it was figure it out as you go, one day at a time, because you will figure it out. You will. So I'm glad that there was maybe a little bit of naive, isn't this going to be great at the outset? I think that carried us a long way.
Cool. And I hate to relate it back to planning again. I'm going to sound like a robot, but I heard something recently. The best kind of planners aren't the ones who make a long-term plan and everything goes perfectly. It's the people who can adjust and shift, take the good from the plan that failed or just didn't work all the way, readjust, replan, and then keep going. And I think y'all have encompassed that. And that's really cool to hear.
Thank you. Tell me about talking about planning.
Talking about planning? No, I just mean in this situation or this particular podcast, I brought it up a couple of times. I do like to ask people about planning. I think it's a good tip for people, but again, that means something different to everybody. Some people want their one roadmap that they're going to stick to religiously, and then there's people that adjust, and I'm trying to figure that out for myself. I
Yeah.
learn a lot from these as well. I
Yeah.
take a lot away.
They're great conversations. I listened to a few of the episodes. It's really fun to hear, especially because folks are from out here. So it really feels resonant.
Yeah. Yeah. We get some interesting voices on here sometimes too. So I get a lot of different voices, and I like that. I like having a diverse room of thought for me to pluck from.
Yeah, I like that phrase. It's a diverse room of thought. I like that.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit. You have some news coming up. You're going to be running for office.
I am running for office. Yeah, I'm running for Congress here in Texas 21.
That's awesome. So speak on that a little bit if you don't mind, and just tell us what inspired you to take the step forward and get your hand in another basket.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have my hands in enough things already, huh?
Yeah.
I love where I'm from. My first love was government. I've got a double major from UT Austin in government and history. I've always been fascinated. I've always thought that the design, the foundation of our democracy was a thing of beauty. I know how corny that must sound, but it's always been something really interesting to me. I am the daughter of an immigrant. My family came here as refugees because their government in where my father is from fell. So the idea of a stable, healthy democracy is invaluable. And I worry about ours, and I've been concerned about it for some time. And then, of course, the July 4th flooding happened. And like we mentioned, I'm from Bandera. I'm just down the road. And I got out here the very next morning to see what I could do to help. And I found myself deeply frustrated at the response. There was a lot of people trying really hard. I don't want to knock anybody's efforts, but I couldn't stop thinking about how much of this was preventable. Now, being from the Hill Country, we were just discussing this before we turned on the mics. There is not a way to prevent flooding out here. This is part of what it means to live in the Texas Hill Country. However, a water event is not the same thing as something like a fire or an earthquake. What we need is just to get people to higher ground. We need minutes to help save lives. And I cannot wrap my mind around or accept that we couldn't figure out as a community, as a district, as a state, how to do that better. And I feel like it really acquainted me with some of the holes and the opportunities that were available. And I decided that I was going to do everything I could for my community to make sure that we had what we needed. This journey started for me in August, just a short while after the flood happened. I went to the state capitol and testified against the redistricting because I thought we had bigger fish to fry, namely flood recovery. And that process was also really enlightening to me, the way that it was organized, the options available when you're testifying. It really just made it so clear that the agenda that our elected officials are working on don't always have anything to do with us. And that is unacceptable to me.
Yeah. That's a great reason to get into it. And a call to action is great. That's a really cool one. So could you speak a little bit on going up there and seeing that process and what kind of barriers for regular people were there, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that surprised me the most was you get there and you register for a spot, right? They've allocated so much time, and there's only so many people who can speak within that time frame. So not everyone's going to get a chance. And while that's unfortunate because it affects us all, I also see the limitation is there for a reason, and it does make sense. But we were there to testify about redistricting, and the statement at the time was that there was no map to review. We now know that was inaccurate, which is deeply disappointing. But here's the tangible piece about why that's deeply problematic. When you're signing up for your spot to give your testimony, you have to assert whether you're for, against, or neutral, right? Because there was no map to review, you only had the possibility of selecting neutrality. You can't have a position for or against something that you can't see, something that theoretically doesn't exist. So this was a trick. It was a blatant way of forcing folks to identify themselves with a position that didn't apply. I thought it was something wrong with the kiosk, if I'm being honest. So when I saw that I could only select neutral, I walked back down the hallway to the chairman's office and let him know, hey, I'm not neutral about this. I have a very strong position on this, but I can't select what reflects what I'm really here to do. And he said, oh, yeah, that's because there's no maps. And I said, okay, I'm saying it to you. And then I went back to the kiosk and registered myself as neutral. And only later did I realize, oh, yeah, everybody. What that means is everybody that attended, everybody that spoke is now identified as being neutral on that topic. That is not representation. That is not curiosity and care about what people are really hoping for or what's bringing them there or what the trouble is. And I think that kind of thing, that kind of maneuvering, it's politicking, right? Yeah. That's not government at work. That is politicking. And I find it very disheartening. And I don't think that we need more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that statement. It's at the bare minimum, I don't know, a barricaded transparency, it seems. And
yeah,
that's pretty awful in itself.
Yeah.
Especially because that's been a big issue in our country lately. I think a lot of the population's more aware of the lack of transparency and the politicking. And so I love that's something you're willing to take a stand on.
Absolutely. I think that's part of the beauty of having an everyday Texan running for office. I don't think that kind of thing is normal. I think that a lot of people who have held office or maybe even are running for office now, if they have a political background, they may think that's normal. I don't think it is, and I don't want more of it. I think it's deeply problematic, and that's important to me. I want to be represented by someone who reflects who we are, and I think that most of the time we're not represented by people who are from here and live like us and think like us and are having the same experiences that we are. I think it's time for a change. I want a public servant, not a politician.
Yeah, they're really good at the politicians, really good at positioning themselves as if they are everyday citizens. They'll post the social media posts that make you think, oh, this guy's like me or someone's like me. They walk their dog like I do. It's all fair, not all, but a lot of it is all fluff. And it's really discouraging once you see those layers peeled back, and it's disheartening.
It really is. It really is. And I think, yeah, I've had enough. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will agree with you on that statement. No matter what side of the aisle they're on, you have to agree there's issues that need to be resolved.
Agreed.
They're foundational.
Yeah. And I think for me, that's a really critical point too. Texas 21 is all of us. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I think the real big problems that need to be addressed. And for me, in my campaign, I'm thinking about defending our wealth, defending our water, and defending our vote. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. These are the things that make us Texans, make us Americans. And without these, when we cede these assets and these powers to corporations, we are going to have really big problems on our hand. And it doesn't care who you voted for. No. These problems don't care.
No, it doesn't. I really appreciate you coming down here. We're getting a little short on time, so I'm going to give you a chance just to shout out. Do you have any upcoming events or anywhere where people can meet you or hear more from you and get to learn about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the most expedient way to learn about me is to go to my website. It's reginavanburg.com. Vanburg is Vanburg. I do have events upcoming. I'll have to pause and think for a second. The schedule is quite crowded. Let me think about what I have going on. I will be in Blanco sometime next week. Yeah, this is not going to work. I'm going to have to give you a list. I can't tell you off the top of my head. But yeah, you can find out about me on my website. Please feel free to reach out. My contact information is there. If anyone should have any questions, don't hesitate. I'm here to answer questions and help as best I can.
That's awesome. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but if you get a chance, do some reading, look up her stuff, and make sure you know what she's talking about and her political views, and try to give her the proper research she deserves. A lot of people don't do the research they need to, but this is a good time in our country where I think we can shift that, and people need to start doing that research. So go meet her. If she's somewhere local, go say hi, go hear from her, and do your research this election. Thank y'all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was great.